200 miles per hour. That's how fast everything ended. No warning. No chance to react. Just two cars, two drivers, and one terrifying split second that changed the entire NASCAR season. And when the smoke cleared, when the flames finally died down, the question on every single fan's mind wasn't about points. It wasn't about the championship. It wasn't about who won the race. It was simple. Are they okay? What you're about to hear isn't just a race recap. It's the story of a violent crash, a career-changing opportunity for a young driver, and a health update that has the entire NASCAR world holding its breath right now. Stay with me, because this story is still unfolding, and the next few days could change everything. But before we go any further, I want to take just a moment to talk to you directly. If you've ever sat on the edge of your seat watching a NASCAR race, if you've ever felt your heart drop when a car hits the wall, if you genuinely care about these drivers beyond just the results and the standings, then this channel was built for you. NASCAR Report today exists because of fans like you. People who don't just watch the race, they feel it. People who understand that behind every helmet is a real human being pushing the absolute limit of what's possible. We are growing this community one passionate fan at a time, and right now we are so close to our next milestone. If you're not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button right now. It takes 2 seconds, and it means the world to this channel. And if you've already been here, thank you. Genuinely. You are the reason we keep doing this. Now let's get into it. Because this story deserves your full attention. It happened at Michigan International Speedway. Late in the NASCAR Cup Series race. The kind of moment that reminds every single fan why this sport is unlike anything else in the world. Lap 148. The final stage. A restart that had every fan locked in. Christopher Bell. Chase Elliott. Two of the most talented drivers in the entire Cup Series. Racing side by side, door to door, fighting for second place like the season depended on it, because honestly, at this point in the year, it kind of does. Track position is everything in NASCAR, especially after a restart. Every driver knows it. Every crew chief knows it. And both Bell and Elliott were absolutely committed to not giving an inch. Then it happened. Chase Elliott got loose. It was subtle at first, just a small bobble, the kind you see dozens of times in a race without any consequences. But at nearly 200 miles per hour, subtle doesn't exist. That tiny moment of instability was all it took. Elliott's car came up the racetrack, and there was simply nowhere for Christopher Bell to go. The contact was immediate. The result was catastrophic. Both cars slammed the outside wall at full speed. The impact echoed through the entire grandstand. Fans jumped to their feet. The broadcast team went silent for just a moment, one of those moments where everyone watching knows that something serious just happened. And then came the image that no NASCAR fan ever wants to see. Fire. The rear of Christopher Bell's number 20 Toyota erupted into flames after the impact. Not a small flicker. Real fire. The kind that makes your stomach drop. The kind that makes you forget about the race entirely. The kind that takes you back to the darkest moments in motorsports history and makes you say a quiet prayer. Safety crews reacted immediately. They always do. But in those seconds before you see any movement from inside the car, every fan watching felt the same thing, pure fear. And then, relief. Christopher Bell climbed from his car under his own power. Chase Elliott climbed from his car under his own power. In a sport where we have witnessed moments that did not end this way, seeing both drivers standing on their own 2 feet after a crash of that magnitude is never taken for granted. Never. The NASCAR community has experienced loss, and moments like these are a reminder of just how fine the line truly is between walking away and something far worse. But what happened next, before the ambulances, before the interviews, before any of the noise that always follows a crash like this, that's what people are still talking about. Chase Elliott walked over to Christopher Bell. And the two drivers hugged. Think about what that means. These are two elite competitors. Two drivers fighting for every single point in a playoff battle. They just wrecked each other at 200 miles per hour. One of their cars was on fire. And the first thing Elliott did was walk over and make sure his fellow driver was okay. No pointing fingers. No anger. No drama. Just two men who understood what had just happened, and how much worse it could have been. That embrace said everything. It said, this is racing. We understand the risk. We're glad we're both still here. It was one of the most human moments of the entire NASCAR season. Christopher Bell was transported to the infield care center, which is standard procedure after any significant crash. What was less standard was how long he remained there. Nearly an hour. In NASCAR, an hour inside the care center gets people talking. Fans were watching social media. Teams were making calls. The garage was buzzing. Because when a driver of Bell's caliber stays inside that long, it usually means the medical staff is being very thorough and for good reason. Eventually, Bell was evaluated and released. But even after being cleared to leave, he declined all interview requests. Now, that detail matters. Christopher Bell is not a driver who typically shies away from the media. He's been open, he's been engaging, he's been one of the more communicative drivers in the garage. So when he walked past reporters without speaking, it raised eyebrows. Was he shaken? Was he in more pain than the initial report suggested? Was there something the team wasn't ready to share yet? The answer came in the days that followed. Christopher Bell is expected to be replaced at Pocono Raceway while additional medical evaluations are completed on injuries to his wrist and ankle sustained in the Michigan crash. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't just a driver being held out as a precaution. There are confirmed injuries being evaluated. Wrist and ankle. Both of which, depending on severity, could impact not just one race but Bell's ability to perform at the highest level when he returns. For a driver who has been one of the most consistent performers in the entire Cup Series field this season, this is significant. This is a championship-level driver being forced to the sideline because of injuries from a crash that, even by NASCAR standards, was genuinely terrifying to watch. And it raises a question that nobody in the NASCAR world really wants to ask right now. How long could this actually last? We don't have a definitive answer yet. But what we do have is the name of the driver stepping into the number 20 Toyota at Pocono, and his story might be the most compelling part of this entire situation. His name is Leland Honeycutt Jr. If you follow NASCAR at every level, that name probably means something to you. If you're a Cup Series fan who doesn't track the developmental series as closely, you might be hearing it for the first time. Either way, you need to know who this young man is, because what he's about to do is something most drivers spend their entire careers hoping for and never get. Leland Honeycutt Jr. is 21 years old. He's from Phoenix, Arizona. And with virtually no warning, he is now being asked to climb into one of the most high-profile seats in NASCAR, at one of the sport's most unique racetracks, in the middle of one of the most talked-about storylines of the season. His NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut came in 2022 at Bristol Motor Speedway, running with Young's Motorsports. He finished 22nd. Not a fairy tale start, but a start. A foot in the door. A taste of what this level of racing feels like. Since then, Honeycutt has been grinding. He ran full-time in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series during the 2024 season, continuing to develop, continuing to learn, continuing to chase the dream. He returned in a part-time capacity during the 2025 season, still building his resume, still waiting for his moment. And now, in a way nobody could have predicted, the moment found him. Think about what that phone call must have felt like. You're a 21-year-old driver working your way up the ladder, doing the things every young racer does, showing up early, staying late, trying to impress anyone who will watch. And then your phone rings, and someone tells you that you're going to Pocono. In the number 20. For Joe Gibbs Racing. That's not just an opportunity. That's the kind of thing you remember for the rest of your life, whether it goes well or not. And here's what makes this moment even more fascinating, because NASCAR history is full of stories like this one. The garage has always been a place where unexpected opportunities create unexpected careers. Drivers who stepped in for someone else and turned a single race into a launching pad. Young talents who nobody outside the sport knew until one moment put them in front of millions of viewers. Think about how many times a substitute appearance became something more. How many times a team called a young driver in desperation, and that driver delivered something nobody expected. It doesn't always happen. But it happens often enough that every time a driver gets that call, the entire garage pays attention. There have been cases where a substitute driver outperformed expectations so significantly that it led directly to a full-time ride. Cases where crew chiefs called team owners after the race and said, "We need to find a way to keep this kid in the car." Cases where a single afternoon at a racetrack changed the entire direction of someone's career. Leland Honeycutt Jr. knows this. His team knows this. Joe Gibbs Racing knows this. And when that green flag drops at Pocono, every set of eyes in the garage will be watching to see what he's made of. Pocono Raceway itself is one of the most unique challenges in all of motorsports. The triangular layout, the three distinct corners with completely different characteristics, the long straightaways, the unpredictable tire wear, it rewards drivers who can adapt quickly and communicate clearly with their crew. For a young driver stepping in cold, without extensive preparation time, without the familiarity that comes from running the car week after week, it is genuinely difficult. But difficult is not impossible. And sometimes, the drivers who aren't supposed to do anything special are exactly the ones who surprise everyone. From Joe Gibbs Racing's standpoint, this situation creates real challenges that go beyond just replacing one driver for one weekend. Joe Gibbs Racing doesn't show up to racetracks hoping to finish in the top 15. They show up to win. They show up with championship intentions every single week. That's the standard Coach Gibbs built, and it doesn't lower itself because of circumstances. Christopher Bell has been central to that mission. He has been one of the most reliable performers in the JGR lineup, someone the team depends on not just for race results but for the kind of consistent effort that keeps a championship campaign alive through the long stretch of the regular season and into the playoffs. Every race missed is a race where points aren't being scored. Every race missed is a race where momentum can shift to a competitor. And at this stage of the season, momentum is everything. The drivers who are running well now are building confidence, building consistency, building the kind of rhythm that carries teams deep into playoff runs. So the decision to hold Bell out, while absolutely the right one from a health and safety perspective, is not a small thing for the organization. It is a calculated choice to prioritize the long game, making sure that when Bell returns, he is fully healthy and fully capable of performing at the level everyone knows he can reach. The right call. Absolutely. But not an easy one. And what about Chase Elliott? He walked away from Michigan physically okay. But the conversation surrounding his role in the crash hasn't fully settled yet. In the days following the incident, fans have been analyzing the footage, debating what happened, trying to assign blame or find fault. Here's the honest take: this was a racing incident. Watch the replay from any angle. Two drivers, a restart, a tiny moment of instability at the absolute limit of what these cars can do. Chase Elliott didn't want to crash Christopher Bell. Nobody races like that. Nobody goes into a corner at nearly 200 miles per hour hoping to put someone else into the wall. This is what racing looks like when the best drivers in the sport are pushing absolutely everything they have. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. And the fact that Elliott immediately walked over to Bell, the genuine moment of concern and respect between two competitors, tells you everything about where both drivers stand on what happened. There is no feud here. There is no lingering tension. There are two racers who understand the game, understand the risk, and are both grateful that they walked away from something that could have been catastrophically worse. Here's my honest take on everything we've covered, because I think there are a few things in this story that aren't getting enough attention. First and most importantly, Christopher Bell's health is the only thing that actually matters right now. I know that sounds obvious, but in the NASCAR conversation, it can get buried under points talk and playoff scenarios and replacement driver storylines. Let's not let it get buried. When you watch that crash at full speed, when you see the impact against the wall, when you see the flames, you're watching two human beings survive something that could have killed them. The safety technology in these cars is extraordinary. The next-gen car has protected drivers in some truly horrifying crashes over the last few years. But surviving a crash and being uninjured are two different things. Wrist injuries in racing are not minor. Ankle injuries in racing are not minor. These are the limbs that connect a driver to the car. These are the parts of the body that feel every bump, every vibration, every force of every corner. If Bell returns before those injuries are fully healed, he isn't just risking his performance, he's risking making them worse. Joe Gibbs Racing is doing the right thing, and honestly, Bell's long-term health matters far more than any single race result. Second, the Leland Honeycutt Jr. story deserves genuine attention, not just as a footnote to Bell's situation. This young driver is about to face a level of scrutiny that most 21-year-olds in racing never experience. He is going to be compared, consciously or not, to one of the best drivers in the sport, in the same car, at the same racetrack. That's an almost unfair standard to be measured against. But what I'll be watching for isn't speed. It isn't necessarily a top 10 finish. What I want to see is composure. Does he look like he belongs? Does he communicate confidently with the crew? Does he make smart decisions? Does he avoid mistakes that could put himself or others at risk? Those are the things that actually define whether a young driver is ready for this level, and those are the things that team owners and crew chiefs remember long after the race results fade. Third, this situation is a reminder of something we talk about in NASCAR and then forget between races. This sport is dangerous. Genuinely dangerous. Not dangerous in a theatrical way, not dangerous as a marketing point, actually dangerous in a way that requires drivers and teams to make serious decisions every single week. We celebrate the safety advancements. We should. They're remarkable. But we should never celebrate them so loudly that we forget why they were necessary in the first place. So where does this all go from here? In the short term, attention shifts to Pocono. All eyes will be on Leland Honeycutt Jr. and how he handles one of NASCAR's most unique racetracks in one of the sport's most pressure-filled situations. No one knows exactly what to expect, and that unpredictability is part of what makes this so compelling. For Christopher Bell, the timeline of his return remains genuinely uncertain. Additional evaluations are ongoing. The team hasn't committed to a specific return date, and until the medical staff is fully satisfied with where his wrist and ankle stand, that answer isn't coming. Could he be back within a week or two? Possibly. Could this linger longer than anyone hopes? That's the question nobody wants to ask, but everyone is quietly thinking about. For Joe Gibbs Racing, the challenge is maintaining momentum and keeping the team sharp and motivated during what is essentially an unexpected disruption in the middle of a high-stakes season. The best organizations in NASCAR have always found ways to stay focused through adversity. This will test them again. And for the broader NASCAR landscape, this is one more twist in what has already been an unpredictable and dramatic season. The kind of season that reminds you why you started watching in the first place. The kind of season where you genuinely don't know what's coming next and you keep watching because of it. That's everything right now. But as I said at the top, this story is not finished. The next few days are going to be important. Bell's evaluation results, Honeycutt's performance at Pocono, the reaction from across the NASCAR garage. There is still so much that we don't know, and this channel is going to be here every step of the way to cover it all. If you want to stay with this story, if you want daily NASCAR coverage, honest analysis, breaking news, and a community of fans who actually care about this sport on a deeper level, then NASCAR Report Today is your home. Subscribe right now if you haven't already. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely want to know what you think. Are you worried about Christopher Bell's recovery? Do you think Leland Honeycutt Jr. can surprise people at Pocono? And what does this entire situation mean for the championship picture going forward? Let's talk about it, because that's what this community is built for. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you in the next one.